of insights. Thank you. Well, that's the word from Adar Poonawalla. And to take the conversation forward, we now have with us Nithya Balasubramaniam, Director Healthcare at Sanford Bernstein. Nithya, thanks for being with us. I hope you could hear at least some of that interaction, if not all. So first things first, what do you make of it? As others said, that they're at 4.9% right now. He's not saying whether he'll increase more or maybe sell out by the time there is an IPO. What do you make of this tie-up and the potential?
I cannot add color to what he's already shared on air. I think right now it seems like they will stick around with this 5% odd stake that they have. But in terms of the deal itself, the original construct, if you remember, were supposed to be selling COVID vaccines. At that point of time, the management had said that we were expecting that COVID vaccines would retail at $4 per vaccine and therefore a $400 million opportunity at a 35% EBITDA. So clearly those numbers have changed quite materially. There is no demand and the prices have also come off. And even if they were to sell other vaccines like MMR vaccines or TB vaccines, I don't think they would have been able to bulk up the 100 million demand that they originally anticipated. So therefore, I think from a Biocon perspective, I think not going ahead with the deal in the original shape and form is a good thing. Clearly, it's not worth the 15% stake that they had promised in the entity before the Viatris acquisition, right? So we had actually published earlier today what might that mean for the stock and the stock price. We think our target price actually improves slightly, right? Because if the deal is not going through, then Biocon retains a slightly higher stake in the Biocon Biologics entity. And therefore, our target price goes up from the $299 that we have to slightly higher at about $320 or so. So we think it's therefore a good thing. And I think the stock has also reacted positively today.
What is the valuation of Biocon Biologics in the SOTP of Biocon for you?
So for us, it comes to about $4.8 billion, close to 5. It's a little lower than what Adar had mentioned earlier.
And why is that? Because he said, and even Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw spoke about a valuation of $6 billion.
So the Viatris deal, when it was struck, and they talked about offering Viatris a 13% stake, at that point of time, they had mentioned a valuation of about $7.5 to $7.7 billion. If you look at where the stock is trading today, if you back out valuation for Syngene and you back out valuation for the small molecule generics business, the market is right now willing to award them a valuation of somewhere in the zip code of $3 to $3.5 billion, right? There is obviously a huge chasm between what the management believes the valuation of BBL is and what the market is willing to give them today. Right? And that is a gap that the management needs to bridge by delivering on the numbers.
And what are the numbers that you have in store for Biocon Biologics to help bridge the gap in the perceived valuation of Biocon Biologics between the market and the management?
See, we think adalimumab is an interesting product. They're supposed to launch a biosimilar of the same in the US come July. It's obviously a substantial market. It's about $18 to $20 billion in the US. It is a competitive market. However, given the size of the market, we think it'll be a meaningful opportunity for Biocon. The second product we're looking forward to is insulin aspart. Hopefully, they will get an approval. They should be getting an approval in a couple of quarters from now. That's about an $800 million TAM, where Biocon will be the first biosimilar in the market. That's an interesting opportunity. And the third one we think that can be substantial is a biosimilar to Eylea. It's again a $6.5 billion TAM, about a 6-player market, but Biocon has been the first filer so far. So we think these three can be quite meaningful in the next 3-year time frame, right? And as these catalysts play out and we see earnings acceleration, that's when we believe the gap will start to bridge.
Right, Nithya, hi, thanks for joining us. Since we have you on, we can also ask you about the Ipca Labs acquisition of Unichem. What do you think of that? I mean, it is at a bit of a premium, but your take on the deal?
I'm sorry, I don't cover the name. My hands are tied. I won't be able to comment.
Okay, so Nithya, then let me try my luck with the the new kid on the block or the would-be new kid on the block. Mankind is coming. Have you had a look at this company? Any thoughts?
Yes, we have. We have talked about the company in multiple reports that we have published. So we think it's an attractive company. It offers you complete exposure to a fairly attractive India domestic market. We also think it gives you exposure to the faster growing OTC market as well. About 11-12% of their revenues they already make from fairly large sized brands in the consumer health space. Mankind has done fairly well in the last several years developing leadership in quote unquote the bottom of the pyramid. So they've done really well in smaller towns and acute therapies. And now they're trying to drive growth by moving up the pyramid, looking at metro and tier 1 towns, looking at chronic therapies. We think they've been fairly successful in diabetes, for example. They've actually jumped some 5 ranks. So it's quite impressive the kind of performance that they've been able to achieve in the last 3-4 years. And we think their expansion into cardiology also sounds promising. Nephrology sounds promising. Gynecology is another space we think that's promising. So we do see them being able to do double-digit growth through this expansion in the chronic space. And over a period of time, again, we don't think it's imminent or immediate, but over a period of time, if their expansion in chronic is successful, then you should see margin expansion as well. The valuations seem fairly reasonable. They're coming in at levels similar to Alkem. I think that leaves room on the table for investors.
Nithya, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much for joining in and waiting by patiently as well. We'll slip into a very short break. On the other side, we go full tilt on earnings. The management of Tamil Nadu Mercantile Bank will be joining in to discuss their Q4 numbers and the way forward for next year.